Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Fiscal Talk. My name is Milica, and I'm a marketing manager at Fiscal Solutions. In the previous episode, you had a chance to hear a general manager of Fiscal Solutions talking about the fiscal challenges that international companies face. Today, we will continue with the same topic and some different questions. Milan Lazarevic is once again with us. Hello, Milan. Ready to give us some spicy information?
I am more than ready.
Okay, you're good?
Everything is well. How are you?
Actually, I'm fine. Thank you. Always excited to hear about the project that international retailers had because we actually don't have much time and chances to talk about it. So yeah, definitely excited. So let's begin if that's okay with you.
I'm ready.
My first question would be, if you could explain what is the worst scenario that could happen if some international retailers don't obey some new fiscal law. For example, there is a new regulative or fiscal requirement that they didn't even know about. Is that even possible in the first place?
Let's start from the beginning of the project. First of all, there is you go to the country, you collect all the information, you understand the requirements, and then you develop the solution, and then solution goes live. But in majority of the cases, this solution is not attended accordingly. So companies are not taking care of certain elements which are important. For example, if proper VAT has been reported through the fiscalization, because they have they are reporting the VAT through the headquarters. So they have the funnel which they are using to report it to the tax authority, and usually they don't compare it with what is reported through the fiscalization funnel. So this is the one of the things. The other problem is, for example, it could happen something with a sequence number, which still will enable cashiers to issue the receipts, but they will not be compliant. So the problem is that solution is not properly maintained after it goes into production. And this is related to the question that you asked me. Is it possible that such a thing could happen? Of course it is, because if you do not have the personnel, which is either internally engaged team of people or the team of people which engage externally, you will not be able to know about the certain changes on time. We had such example, because this fiscal regulation is not published on daily news or something like that. Of course, you have the official sources and the web pages in the institutions where you can check for it. But if you don't go there, and if you don't personally check for it, nobody will inform you about it the other way. The simple example is, for example, digital certificate expiration date. And if you do not know about it on time, or if the government, if you don't follow these sites and you don't know the government will change the certificates which you need to use to issue the receipt, you will just simply not know about it. And we had such example in the press with certain customers, because one of the countries where we are actually providing our solution and services changed the certificates. And of course, because we follow it, we inform all our customers about it. And they've been very grateful about it because they have enough time to prepare for it. But I can imagine there have been some retailers that they just simply did not know about it. And then the next morning they wake up and nothing is working. And by the time you find out what is the problem for it, your store is shut down for a certain period of time. It could be a days, it could be a weeks, because in a large retail systems, it takes much more time to implement the new rule or new functionality than in smaller systems. So I can imagine that there's in such cases, the problems are really huge. Even if that don't happen and you run your application and you are using it forever, then it can happen that just you have the simple audit and then you find out about the problems during the audit, which is even the worst case. So it's altogether, it's always good to have someone who is going to check and confirm that you are working according to rules, and someone who is going to follow these rules and inform you about the changes on time.
Okay, great. Thank you for the explanation. So if they don't obey those fiscal laws, there's a huge chance that they will pay some penalties, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Great, thank you. So my next question will be according to those risks. So how would you describe, firstly, on a scale 1 to 10, and then to describe how big is the risk for retailers of not being compliant?
Uh, for the retailers that are not following the rules and just doing it on their own, I think the risk is much higher than the companies that are actually using some external companies or local sources to find this information. But it's hard to measure this, and it's really different from case to case. I just simply could not say it and be right about it. I mean, all the large international companies are usually having some external companies that are using as a source of information. Plus, they have a local infrastructure, which they have lawyers and accountants, the other consultants that are using to collect this information. So they know what needs to be done. But this is also something that is related to development, because once you are done with the development, the higher risk is once the solution is deployed and once you start using it in a production. This is the same way I explained it just a little bit earlier. If nobody is monitoring it, then the risk is really high. Some companies, from the experience, not necessarily our customers, are having a huge discrepancies in their solution. But these are easy to see, and if you engage an expert, that you can just simply solve it. But usually the devil is in details. I can also give you one of the examples that we have, and it's not necessarily related to the details, but it's related to the different standards that the auditors are using during the audit. We pass so many certifications in many different countries, and it really heavily depends on the auditor itself, because the one auditor can find the problem that the other didn't even ask about, or they just have their own interpretation of the law. And a good example is one of the auditors that visited one of the stores in a shopping mall, and they wanted to find our customer because they did not have the local name as a part of the address on the fiscal receipt. So they put the address of the shopping mall, but they didn't put the local number. For example, local number was 17, which is, you know how the shopping mall looks like. You never see the numbers in front of the stores. You just see the name of the store, and number is probably written in the contracts. And then they find our customer because they did not have this local number stated in the address field on the receipt. And what we did, we actually, because we've been responsible for that customer, to provide complete support services. And of course, we would take over this penalty if we would not fight for it. We would take care of that because we are insurance for our customers. So what we did, we actually went through all the other stores in that shopping mall and print out the receipts for the simple things. We just purchased something, and then we went to the court and we show it and we prove it that none of the companies is actually printing the receipt, the local number on the receipt. So it was just something that auditor found as a part of his task that day to I don't know, to write down some fines to certain customers. So at the end, everything finished successfully. We did not pay any fine. Everything was fine. But I'm just saying how complex this could be.
Yeah, definitely. I had a headache while I'm listening to you. Joking. Okay, great. As we are talking about the new fiscal laws and implementation in large systems, and can you tell us what are some fiscal trends that you notice? And what actually tax administrations are introducing as new requirements in certain countries. So would you point out some latest fiscal trends? We had the QR code as a trend, digital receipts. Can you point out something that you noticed?
Yeah, I think more and more countries are introducing a QR code as a part of the receipt. So we could say that is a trend. But then from other perspective, we could see everything. I mean, I see the soft fiscalization on online-based fiscalizations as the best one. But this is not necessary the impression of the governments, because they see it in the other way, because we still have the countries that are introducing the new fiscal laws which are based on hardware, and then or just upgrading the existing law once again based on hardware. And and it's hard to say what is the trend, because the different countries are introducing the laws the way they see it as the most optimal for them. What is also noticeable as a trend is that the e-commerce is becoming fiscal, and certain regulations in that area is becoming more and more popular. I mentioned hardware a little bit earlier, and hardware is a bit challenging as a trend, as something that governments are introducing, because if you're just upgrading the existing fiscal law with the new hardware, then the workload behind it is really huge, because you have to do the removal of existing hardware, installation of the new hardware, maintenance services to provide afterwards. And in general, hardware fiscalization is not feasible for most of the modern retail concepts. I mean, e-commerce, I could not say it's modern because it exists for a long time, but it's hard to imagine that you should print fiscal receipt for every purchase that's happening online. So this is the reason why I see that from my perspective, online fiscalization should become a trend, because you can handle the different concepts, including the cashierless store like Amazon Co concept and similar with this online concept. But unfortunately, this is not the trend yet. What we see.
Excuse me for interrupting, but I wanted to ask one simple question while you were talking about the software fiscalization. I can see that there is much more combined fiscalization systems, right? Is that like the link to the final software fiscalization? I mean, when someone wants to go from the hardware to software, they first do the combined, or what is it?
Once again, my personal opinion, I don't see any, and now manufacturers of the hardware will hate me, but I don't see any reason for any hardware to be in the store. And I think most of the retailers are actually sharing my opinion. So I don't see this as a bridge between the hardware and being online. I think it's just up to the government the way they want to design it. At the end, they are taking care of the certain things which are important for them, to make sure that they are actually having the right information about the taxes, that the retailers are not able to cheat on that, and they have to report what actually they sold and how much they have to pay for that VAT. And this is the thing they take care about when they are defining the fiscal law. But usually the people that are designing the fiscal law are not coming from the let's say from the field. They did not have the real life experience in that area. So it's hard for them to predict all the cases that could happen. So this is the reason why they would need to involve more people that are actually working in that area when they are designing the fiscal law. And if I may continue, but I will be very, very short.
Yeah,
and
the trends.
Still talking about the trends, yes. One thing that is noticeable, which will actually help the government to have the correct data, which is not going to be able to be changed, and it will be written let's say written in stone forever. It's a blockchain technology. So this is something that is definitely the future of the retail in different segments, and we believe in fiscalization as well.
Yeah, I can agree with that, definitely. Okay, great. I think we covered all the questions I had prepared for you. So thank you, Milan, once again for being my guest today. And last time also. Thank you for your time and for all the answers you gave us. Thanks everyone for watching. That will be all for today. And of course, as I always say, if you have any additional questions, feel free to contact us at marketing@fiscal-solutions.com. Or if you're doing some international project, expanding to another country, then go and check out our fiscal portal. I will put the link in the bio so you can go and try to find all the information about a certain country. Thank you once again, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.